Hey everybody, this is Agent Ice, and today we're going to talk about politics. All right, wait, don't close out of the video. I'm just kidding. We're not going to talk about politics. Maybe. But what I do want to talk about is state of gaming a little bit in 2024, and mostly what I find disturbing about this whole controversy with Palworld. And I'll preface this video just to get any potential bias out of the way here, make you aware of it. You know, back when I was younger, I used to really like Pokemon. You know, since then, I grew out of it, right? It really is something that's kind of, more marketed toward kids. There's plenty of adults that enjoy it, but it's not my thing anymore. But that's great that people enjoy it. I'm happy for them. As for Palworld, it was something that I heard about. I thought I'd be interested in when I actually saw gameplay. I found that I wasn't, which is funny because I'm the kind of person that likes to have monsters. I played the minion master classes and all that, but it wasn't what I was looking for. It is what it is. Maybe someday with updates it'll be more appealing to me. But anyway, with that all out of the way, let's kind of do this. I'm gonna try to be as quick as I can, but I want to lay out stuff more completely than most people are. So of course Palworld has been in development for quite a while. And I heard about it, about a year and a half ago, I want to say now. And I added it to my Steam wish list. But when the game came out, there was a lot of controversy. There's accusations that they used AI to generate the pals, and that some of the creature designs come a little too close to Pokemon models. Some accusations even saying that they outright stole the models. So what are these accusations? Well, I'm going to try to break these down a little bit and kind of be complete with the arguments here and take a look at them as best as I can. So first, let's take a look at these AI accusations. Where does this come from? Well, the CEO of Pocket Pair is a big fan of AI and has made comments about wanting to see games powered by ChatGPT-4. And actually, on that note, let's bring this up. And they made comments about using AI to get around copyright infringement, I guess, in the past. And so, that's kind of questionable to some people, right? And then they have some kind of AI generation program and game where, I don't know, you can make pictures and then you can do another thing where it gives you two pictures and you have to pick which one, I guess, is the AI generated one and which one is the real one. Kind of interesting, but, it also could be construed as maybe they knew they were maybe going to be doing something questionable, and therefore they were trying to do what they could to kind of get away with it. I don't know. But for anyone that's used AI to generate images, what you get is based on a few things, usually the prompts that you give it and what it's using kind of as a resource to generate whatever output it gives you. And you can even upload, like I have ChatGPT-4. I can upload some pictures and say, hey, make something based on this or these pictures, whatever. And the fact some of the pals look like Pokemon, two or more that were kind of Frankenstein together, it's concerning to some people, and that's something you might see from an AI image generation application, especially if you gave it Pokemon models as a resource to kind of go off of. But is it proof they did that? No. I don't even know how you'd go about proving that, to be entirely honest with you. Because it could just be that the monsters weren't completely original. It kind of is what it is, right? Either way, I think, there could be a case to be argued there. And, of course, people are going to see what they want to see anyway. It's just the way of the world anymore. As for the claim about the Pokemon models being stolen, this gets pretty murky pretty fast because you start dealing with an individual called Bayou Frog, and they posted some pictures and videos where they took a PAL and a Pokemon and overlapped them and said, hey, look, these line up pretty much, close to exact, and They didn't claim that they did any modifications to it, but they did resize the images, which they ended up later on admitting to at one point. But the issue is we don't know if anything else is modified. And to my knowledge, nobody else besides this Bayou Frog even went and did any of these comparisons to see. You know, there was somebody here that said that they were lying about it. Oh, God, I don't want to do that. And if you go to BioFrog's page, notice, joined January 2024. This isn't even a month old. So it was a brand new account. And they started posting all this stuff, which is going to be a red flag for many people, including myself. So, do you trust what this person's saying? It's kind of hard. Even if they scaled the images so they'd be the same size so they could do a proper comparison. And because they had to do that, I don't know if there's really a great argument for theft or whatever, right? Copyright infringement. Though it is, I guess, kind of interesting. But again, I'd want to know if they did a more modification that they might not be admitting to. I saw a rather inflammatory video from a certain VTuber. It's got, you know, a decent following there on YouTube, talking about how this person was supposedly bragging about it in Discord, like that they made it up or whatever. I don't know. I really don't know what to think of it, but based on what I have here, unless they admitted that everything was BS, like they fabricated the entire thing and they modified the models completely to make them work, there could still be an argument that maybe there's something going on there to some degree, right? If somebody brings up multiple points and you kind of prove one to be false, it doesn't mean that the other points are necessarily false, but it does call into question their credibility. And again, this person posting on their X page, I'm doing this because I think it's disgusting how much Power World glorifies animal abuse. This is kind of BS. In my opinion, because Pokemon, you make them fight each other too. It's kind of, you could argue that's animal abuse glorification. Granted, the way they go about it is pretty different. Pokemon being a game meant for kids, and then this Power World is kind of a more mature audience. So it's interesting what's going on there. You know, whether you believe BioFrog in any of the claims there, you know, I don't know. But I'd want to see somebody else kind of go in there and be able to verify these things. It's just kind of weird. And it's going to vary probably from monster to monster. But I don't want to make this video take up too much time, too. So we're going to kind of move on here. And I don't want to show a bunch of stuff. It's just something to keep in mind. Now, if there's still another piece of the controversy, though, too, that I think needs to be brought up. It's kind of Nintendo themselves. If you go on YouTube or, you know, even Google search, there's so many people claiming that Nintendo is mad and that Nintendo is going to sue Pocket Pair over Power World and some of the stuff. And there's people saying, well, they can't sue because blah, blah, blah. Everyone's suddenly a legal expert all of a sudden. But it's kind of funny to me that people are making arguments about corporate law and copyright law, and they clearly don't have any training or experience with either one. And that includes people in the comments as well as people on, you know, making some of these videos. I've also not seen anything that it would indicate that Nintendo is mad. You know, I've seen a comment that they said they were looking into it, which they have to anyway, because they have to protect their copyrighted material. Another claim that I see is somehow Power World is competition for Pokemon. I gotta be honest here, I think that's really just kind of way off. So Pokemon is very simple. It's meant for kids, not people that are, you know, 25 or 35 necessarily. You could be an older person and enjoy Pokemon. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's targeted for a younger audience. And so the games are pretty simple. And they use the same formula over and over because it works. It sells games. And I think Pokemon is kind of an introduction to, you know, the rest of the Pokemon intellectual property, right? Like, they want to get the kids into Pokemon so they get the plushies, the trading cards, you know, watch the anime, the movies, whatever, right? It's like, it's about the whole thing as a whole, not just the game. Whereas Power World is just the game, at least for now. I did hear that maybe they'll do a card game. I don't know. Either way. So, Pokemon's simple. You get your starter Pokemon, you fight wild Pokemon, you fight trainers, you level up your Pokemon, they evolve if they evolve, and you take on the gym leaders, do side quests, some of them involving some kind of antagonist group that you have to stop, and then ultimately get all the gym badges, fight the Elite Four, beat the champion, and then maybe do some post-game content. Again, very simple. It's meant for kids. Sorry, folks. And the kids are probably not going to be so picky about the game as the adults are, because they're not going to have as much of a frame of reference for potential issues with the game. compared to other games yet. And it is what it is, folks. That's the reality of the situation. Now, Palworld seemed to me more like Ark when I watched gameplay of it. I was watching various people stream it. Yeah, there's Pokemon there, and the whole Pokemon with guns thing is kind of stupid, because that's not, to me, that's really not even what that game's about. It's so far away from that. The only Pokemon comparison here is the way that some of the designs are. And you can see from the picture here, yeah, I mean, you've got this shiny Lucario and this other thing. They look kind of similar. This isn't the best example of this. There's some that look a lot closer, but this is a good example nonetheless. There's some similarities. This game's going to probably attract a more mature audience, I would say, overall. And so you're not going after the same audience per se, and the genre is completely different. This is a crafting, survival, whatever, micromanagement kind of game with fighting and weird, crazy stuff. And people love it, which is great, but they're two different things. So saying that this is somehow competition for Pokemon, or it's going to make, Nintendo or Game Freak up their game, that just sounds like an ignorant argument to me. I'm sorry, folks. It's just not reality. And it's not just AAA companies, though, that kind of have been having issues. Because, yeah, the Pokemon games and these other big companies, they've been kind of dropping the ball, arguably, with their games that have come out. But you also don't see people talk about all the smaller companies that just release games that flop, they don't work, whatever. Because nobody cares about those. Like, gaming in general just it's not doing well. There's just a lot of junk out there. And there are people that have channels dedicated to showing you the junk and complaining about it and whatever. But every once in a while, you do get a Baldur's Gate 3 or a Shovel Knight, something like that. A game that comes from a relatively smaller studio that just gets very successful. And I think that's awesome. Maybe other games improve because now those genres have more competition. I don't know. I just don't see any proof that actually changes anything yet. Maybe we'll see something in the future, but right now, I don't think the competition thing kind of is almost non-existent. And then these companies get to the point where they're so big, like, it doesn't matter. If they wanted to abuse their customers, they can abuse them. If they want to crank out garbage, they can do it. And that's not just in gaming, that's every industry, really, if we're being honest. But either way, yeah, there's no competition there, in my opinion. With all of that out of the way, let's get into what I actually wanted to focus on. I think what's really important about all this. Personally, I'm really just disappointed in humanity in general. In particular, I'm very disappointed with how they handled this controversy. There's been so much toxic behavior over this madness. The point of this video isn't to single people out. I can show you all the Steam comments, I can show you the YouTube comments, and comments on Reddit about all this. And it's not going to do anyone any good. I don't want anyone to get targeted or whatever. Right? This isn't, I don't want to add more fuel to the fire. I want to kind of like put it out, so to speak. At least, try to. You have reports that diehard Pokemon or Nintendo fans threaten to end people from Pocket Pair. And you've got a lot of people fighting online, right? Now, I don't have an X account. I don't check out X a lot. And I'm not really on Reddit a whole heck of a lot either. But I gotta be honest, looking into this, the amount that I have, and I've spent a decent amount of time looking around. Really seems like most of the anger and the butthurtness and everything, it's all, it's not all. It's mostly coming from one side, and it's not the side that supports Nintendo, funny enough. It's actually been the people that like Palworld and are very vocal about it. I've seen comments where it's a game that I got recently and really like, Enshrouded. I like it more than Palworld, so I bought it instead. Somebody left a comment about, not even about the game, they just said Palworld's an awesome game and Nintendo and Pokemon fans can suck it. That's totally inappropriate. It's ridiculous to me. I don't see Pokemon fans doing stuff like that. Now, of course, they're not PC gamers because there's no PC Pokemon games, so maybe that skews things a bit. What I'm seeing is mostly just, it's coming from one side mainly. And there's been so much scarecrow tactics and gaslighting aimed at people that like Pokemon, and any of these arguments come up. And I've seen a lot of bad arguments purposely being put out there. To kind of give you an example, someone was commenting about, well, you know, a sheep is a sheep. There's only so many ways you can make a sheep look. And I guess to an extent that's true, but other games have done it and they've had completely different looking shape. Sometimes several sheep that look very different in the same game and they don't compare. I've seen people say that like Monster Quest and Pokemon ripped them off, and that Digimon and Monster Rancher and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, they all look the same. No, they don't. I've never once watched Pokemon, played Monster Rancher, or really even played Digimon, and said, oh my god, that looks like a Pokemon. And even between those games alone, they don't look the same. Heck, you could take something that's arguably a Pokemon clone, something like Nexomon, which is actually, I think, pretty decent, especially their second game that came out. They've got a bunch of monsters, and they're unique. They don't look like Pokemon. They don't look like anything else that I've seen anywhere else. So, yeah, you know what? It is doable. You can make things that are very unique from what somebody else has made. Is this unique here on the left? I mean, maybe, kind of, sort of, but, you know, there's a lot of similarity there, right? And there's ones that are even closer than that, you could say. And again, that's why people are saying, hey, look, this looks the same as this, and maybe they did this or maybe they did that when creating these. And hence the controversy. But again, the controversy gets inflamed because then these people that are supporting Power World are like, oh, how dare you, blah, 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 you Nintendo fanboys, and, you know, all this other stuff. It's just... it's crazy. I wish people could just kind of calm down, have an actual reasonable discussion about it, and not resort to bad faith arguments and, you know, all this other crap. And again, every individual that's taking part of it, they're responsible for their own behavior, but it doesn't help that you have all these big content creators out there kind of throwing gasoline on the fire because they don't really care about these people. They just want to get the views and the clicks, and I get it. You know, that's the industry. That's why I'll never be a professional YouTuber or any of this other stuff. I'm not willing to engage in that kind of crap. And really, I see those people as scumbags because of some of the stuff that they do. And also, you know, I've seen arguments like, well, imagine protecting a multi-million-dollar company. Well, I don't know. How much money did did Pocket Pair make off of Power World? I think they're a multi-million-dollar company now, so I guess you don't need to defend them anymore. The arguments don't hold up. Like I said, it's a lot of straw man gaslighting. But I understand, too, wanting to root for the underdog. People get tired of seeing the same champion with the belt every time, again and again. They want to see an upset. They want to see change, just for change's sake, even. And that's just human nature, I guess, to some degree. And people want to see somebody come from nothing to rising up to something great. And I agree. I'm all for that too. But for myself and many others, we want to see people do that without cheating. And that's kind of the thing. That's the reason why people were looking at all this, saying, okay, did they use AI or did they steal models? Because they want to be happy about the success for this game. But because of some of the lack of uniqueness in the character models, they're like, I don't know, did they cheat? They definitely took stuff from other games and incorporated into theirs, which isn't necessarily a wrong or bad thing. But if they did steal the models or they used AI or whatever, right? What does that mean for gaming in general down the road? I don't know. I just really don't like all the negativity and toxicity that's been around all this. So I'll kind of end it with this. Really, at the end of the day, the only thing that really matters, it's not our opinions. Our opinions don't matter, funny enough. It's whether Nintendo thinks they actually have a case to go after them. And guess what? If they don't, they won't. And, you know, that's the end of it. If they do, then maybe they win, maybe they don't, and then life moves on. That's just the reality of the world we live in, folks. But I'd say for now, if you like Pokemon, buy the new Pokemon games. Enjoy them. If you like Power World, buy it and enjoy it. And in spite of the, you know, it's us versus them mentality, there's a lot of people that enjoy both franchises. And they're going to play both games and enjoy the heck out of both of them. And probably not going to hear anything about them because they're having fun with the game, so they're not going to spend their time complaining online about stuff. Anyway, as always, folks, thank you if you made it all the way through this video. Take care. I hope you have a great rest of your day. But for now, this is Agent Ice, signing off.